As it sits today in 2024, the Ford Mustang is officially the last remaining naturally aspirated V8-powered car with a manual transmission that is on the market today. 60 straight years of continued production have given us some of the greatest American cars ever made, from the Boss 302 up to the Shelby GT500s. Yet over those 60 years, there have been a lot of other Mustangs built, besides the ones that get all the attention that only a handful of people know about. But as you will soon see, that doesn't make these cars any less cool. We're talking about a stretched wheelbase mid-engine Mustang and even a 10-liter big block powered SN95. These are 5 of the rarest Mustangs that you have never heard of. Number 5. The Kenny Brown 208-9ers. The Kenny Brown 208-9ers was a specialty-built performance SN95 Mustang built in the era where aftermarket tuned Mustangs were all the rage. Built in 1998, these were the glory years for companies like Roush and Saleen for building high-performance Mustangs, and the 208-9RS was no different. Starting life as a 1998 Mustang SVT Cobra, the 289RS received a slew of mods to make it a more dialed-in track performer. The 281 cubic inch dual overhead cam mod motor was punched out to 289 cubic inches in this car and was fitted with a Vortex supercharger pushing 11 pounds of boost. A full new exhaust system was also fitted, and these changes bumped power from 305 horsepower stock all the way up to about 450 horsepower. This greatly improved 0 to 60 time of now just 4.4 seconds and a near 13.0 quarter-mile time for the 289RS. But this car wasn't just a straight-line beast either. The 289RS was meant to be a balanced handler, which meant that it received a wider set of forged line wheels with stickier tires, a Brembo big brake kit, and a full suspension overhaul complete with Bilstein shocks, added subframe bracing, and a reworked suspension setup to give it great handling for this generation of Mustang. The 289RS was only built in 1998, as this was the last year of the SN95 body style, and while no exact production numbers are available for the Kenny Brown 289RS, it's estimated that there were only just a handful of these ever made. Number 4, the Iacocca 45th Anniversary Mustang. Now, the Iacocca is considered a tycoon of industry in the automotive world, and arguably, more importantly, the father of the Mustang by many. As a result, it was only fair that there was a special Mustang built to commemorate his influence on the iconic lineup. And the best part is that Iacocca actually had a hand in the design and development of this particular Mustang as well, which is absolutely stunning. Based on the 2009 Mustang GT of the S197 family, the Iacocca 45th Anniversary Mustang received a fully reworked and redesigned body with the coachwork done by Gaffaglio family metal crafters. This dramatic restyle included a rework of both the front and rear fascias, as well as a whole new roofline for that iconic fastback, which makes the Iacocca Mustang extremely different when compared side by side to the last Mustang GT of the same year. The interior was also reupholstered with nicer materials and custom badges to commemorate this special edition car. But these weren't just vanity upgrades either. The Iacocca Mustangs received a full Ford racing suspension setup as well as a big Brembo brake kit. Power remained the same as a stock Mustang GT for the era, with 300 horsepower coming from the 4.6-liter 3-valve V8. But an additional supercharger was available for this car that could push power over 400 horsepower. These Iacocca Mustangs were sold exclusively through Gallup and Ford for just that 1 year, and in total just 45 of them were ever built. Number 3, the 1984 Mustang GT350. Now this is an interesting one because from the name being GT350, you would think that Shelby had something to do with this car. Well, they actually didn't see with the Fox body launching onto the scene in an era that really meant diminished horsepower. Ford had to do whatever they could to drum up sales without increasing performance too much as to break any emissions rules. Thus enter the GT350. This GT350 was a heritage play to help sell the nostalgia of the iconic GT350 with a Fox body version. These cars all came in Oxford white as a nod to the early GT350s, but instead of the iconic blue side stripes, Ford decided to make red the contrasting color for this iteration, which included a bright red interior as well. The GT350 was essentially a glorified trim package that was built to be optioned for the four-cylinder cars, as well as the 5-liter V8 Fox bodies for the '84 model year only. The Turbo 4 version made 145 horsepower, and the top dog 5-liter only made 175. So, needless to say, these weren't fast by any stretch of the imagination. In total, about 5,200 of these GT350s were made. And, well, considering just how much of a shameless use of the GT350 name that they were, it's probably for the best that more of these weren't made. Number 2. The Boss 10-liter Mustang. Now this car is just plain crazy, and in terms of impact, this Boss 10-liter Mustang was the godfather, essentially, of the modern-day Cobra Jet factory drag cars. Now this was a one-off drag car that was built as sort of an arms race vehicle in competition with the also one-off 1993 Chevrolet Camaro ZL1, which had the same exact mission. Just make as much crazy power as possible to drum up hype for the entire product line. These were never intended to be production cars. On the outside, this 10-liter Mustang looked pretty unassuming besides its big stripe package and larger cowl hood. But once you pop that cowl hood, you can see the Holy Grail sitting right there. This Mustang ditched the stock motor and replaced it with a 600-plus cubic inch big block that was based on an all-aluminum Boss 429 motor with a ton of trick parts and upgrades, courtesy of the mad scientists at Roush. The cylinder heads themselves were even close replicas of the heads that Ford used for the 429 in NASCAR during its short stint there. And all of this combined let this motor put out an ungodly 800 horsepower and near 800 foot-pounds of torque as well. This was an easy 10-second car without question, thanks to this wicked power plant, which in the 1990s was major headline news. This was a drag race special, which meant a C6 automatic sat behind this beast of a motor, but even that during testing proved to be a weak point behind the mountain of torque that this 10-liter engine produced in testing against the Camaro, that it was built to compete in the arms race with both cars, actually ended up finishing in a tie, funny enough, per car and driver's period test. And again, both of these cars were never intended for full-scale production, and in the end, the 10-liter Mustang remained as a singular one-off car that now resides in Jack Roush's collection. 1. The FR500 Mustang. The FR500 Mustang was a Ford Skunk Works prototype meant to push the possibilities of Mustang handling performance to the limit in the year 2000. This car started life as a New Edge Mustang Mule that got a series of very intense overhauls to turn it into the FR500. Ford gave its internal Skunk Works team a $500,000 budget go wild and build the ultimate Mustang, which started out with a new rework of the dual overhead cam modular V8 power plant. This new motor now punched out 5L in displacement and received over the base 4.6L engine, new heads, cams, and a crazy magnesium intake manifold and long tube headers. This saw a factory power bump from 305 up to now 415 horsepower. This motor was bolted up to a Tremec T56 6-speed manual transmission as opposed to the factory 5-speed unit because it would have been too weak for the added power and torque. Ford then re-engineered the front crossmember and subframe to move the wheels themselves 5 inches further forward than compared to a stock Mustang, which allowed for the engine to sit almost entirely behind the front wheels, which created a front mid-engined layout. This change resulted in an improved 50-50 weight distribution, as opposed to the stock 55-45 split for the other Mustangs of the period. Oh, and speaking of weight, the FR500 also got carbon fiber quarter panels, carbon fenders, and a carbon hood, as well as a host of other lightweight parts to help shave off the pounds. The front suspension was changed from a strut design to an upper and lower independent A-arm design with new custom coilovers as well. And big Brembos were fitted all the way around. And there is no denying that this FR500 Mustang was one of the craziest projects that Ford ever worked on. And it probably ended up being the closest thing to the modern Mustang GTD that Ford ever built. With this new suspension rework, the FR500 was a handling monster, and it was very competitive with period Corvettes in any handling tests. And there was potential for the FR500 to reach production, and there were talks about it, but it was determined that it would have taken away from the sales of the future Cobra and Mach 1 too much to warrant all the production line changes to accommodate the FR500, and as a result, just 2 test cars were made, and those are the 5 ultra-rare Mustangs that you have probably never heard about. Now, this is the first time I've done a video like this, primarily because there isn't enough info or content to really do a full video on any of these cars individually. So let me know in the comments down below if you would like to see an occasional list video like this, mixed in with my other videos, covering just the cars themselves. Also, please make sure that you are subscribed to the Rare Cars YouTube channel and smash that notification bell for more documentary-style videos just like this on the world's most interesting cars. Until next time, enthusiasts.